GarageBand is really new to me. I'm trying to record some audio on GarageBand. Starting a podcast called TAC Talk with Mrs. Hood. TAC stands for Teachers of All Kinds, and then Teachers of All Kinds Talk with Mrs. Hood. Meant as a podcast to interview teachers about teaching, about their student interactions, about them as people, about teachers as people. I'd like to lean towards a well-rounded podcast that includes a variety of topics, but also about the teaching profession, and about teachers' self-care and how they keep their momentum to teach well and continue growing as teachers. This is an unedited podcast, so you're going to see me make a lot of mistakes and boring moments where I'm figuring things out. This is my first official recording because I just figured out how to properly, more or less, use GarageBand to record audio. I still don't know if I'm recording from my headphones mic that I plugged in or if my computer is just recording my voice, but having the headphones in my ears makes me feel more focused, so that's always good. Further, I have signed up on Podbean, which is a podcast hosting website that allows you to store your podcasts and to convert them to RSS streams. So maybe in addition to the subject of teaching, I can also kind of explore together with you how I am starting this podcast. I want to be relatable. I'm not interested in being entirely polished. My inspiration for podcasting is people like Joe Rogan, though my podcast will be not vulgar like his, or rather, it'll be more family friendly because I do have a full-time job and want to keep it. More on that later. But right now, I think that I'm just going to do some episodes where I'm talking by myself. Later, we'll have guests if people are willing, and go from there. So, a few things I wanted to talk about today was, this is another way of staying busy during the quarantine. This is a weird time, today is June 10th, 2020. I don't know when you're listening to this, but it is Wednesday, June 10th in 2020, and we've just moved to phase 2 in Clark County, Washington. I live in Vancouver, Washington. Portland in Multnomah County across the river is still working on moving to a phase where places can start reopening. The state of Washington is mostly in phase 2 where places can start reopening, but people are still, staying home. I'm teaching, but I'm teaching remotely and very little, trying to help students, but we have about a 30 to 50% rate of engagement with students right now at the middle school. It's the last 2 weeks of school, and then it will officially be summer. We've been teaching remotely since April. School is over March 13th. And it's been a lot of free time. So this is a weird time. It's a good time to start new projects that you can do from your home. And so I thought, why not try to start a podcast? Because I love the GRE, Joe Rogan Experience. He's been doing it for like over 10 years, and he has over 1,400 episodes. So he also does unedited podcasts, which I am a big fan of because it shows you, the real person. It's more authentic. And I am also a fan of him getting to know the person and letting them shine and letting them show who they really are. Not just like a 10-minute, here's some tips for your classroom. That's not what I'm into. Or a 40-minute, back and forth with a guest. Let's pack everything into 40 minutes. I'm looking to do hour-long podcast episodes, or more, maybe less, depending on the guest. For now, though, it's just me, myself, and I, and whoever is listening. So I wanted to tell you also another benefit of doing this podcast is that I can train my voice to be stronger. I have actually struggled with a condition in the past. I don't have it anymore, but I was diagnosed at one time with spasmodic dysphonia, which is when your vocal cords are bending and they won't come together like they're supposed to produce a consistent sound. I was struggling to even maintain a sentence. I would have a very whispery dip in my voice on and off throughout each sentence. I'm sure it was partially stress. And they say they don't know what causes it officially, but it is a medical condition. I had it in 2016 when I was a new teacher, first started teaching in January 2016, and developed it a few months later. It didn't start normalizing, my voice didn't start normalizing until probably November or December of that year. Which was really lucky because in January of 2017, my husband and I were about to start going to Seattle so I could get Botox injections in my larynx, in my throat, to help with my voice. Whoa, what a wild ride. But just reducing my stress and kind of relaxing helped my voice come back, and I haven't had a problem since, except that my throat, my vocal cords feel sore more easily, and I need to train my voice, maybe even take voice lessons to strengthen my voice and learn about warm-ups and cool-downs. But also, just talking is good to practice and get ready for teaching again in the fall. Because if I don't, then when I teach again in the fall, I'll probably lose my voice midway through the second day. And nobody wants that to happen. So I am just telling you some different things. I think I'll leave it at that for the first little dabble in the podcasting world. Again, this was a TAC Talk, obviously. Teachers of all kinds talk with Mrs. Hood, though right now it's just me, myself, and I. Take care, everybody.